All right. Welcome back to the Kelowna Real Estate Podcast. I'm your mortgage broker host, Taylor Atkinson.
And I'm your real estate agent host, Matt Glenn. What's shaking today, Taylor?
Got spoiled this weekend. Happy Father's Day to you, Matt.
Yes, you too.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, we just hung out, had some brunch, went on the boat, played pickleball, softball, just all the dad stuff. Yeah, it was a great weekend. You know what? Like summer's here. And I know last summer we were kind of talking about like tourism's down and businesses are suffering, but I feel like some really great entrepreneurs in our circle, one of them, Dina Steele, who runs Keys to Kelowna, just pivots so well, like looks at regulations that's, coming down provincially, federally. And it's like, hey, I may not like have the best business right now. And like Airbnb models, boom, opens up a wicked coffee shop.
Wicked location.
Yeah, on Lakeshore. Like if you haven't been there, check it out.
Right across the street from Gyro Beach.
Yeah. She is just like a top like performer, like everything she does is like incredible. So yeah, we've been there a few times now, and you'll see her walking around the blocks, checking out her places at Caban and Aqua, and then running for coffee. So yeah, shout out to Dina. Just wicked job.
Awesome to see.
Yeah, summer's here. We're just enjoying the local community.
I think this summer is going to be a little bit more up. Right, like more than last year. I think this is going to be a good summer for Kelowna.
Yeah, and there's a few new businesses popping up, and some existing ones seem to be doing well, and just pivoting. So, love to see it.
Yeah, I like it. Yep, me too.
Yeah,
this episode too was also a ton of fun to record.
Yeah, I mean, I probably speak for you as well. I love speaking to developers. It's kind of like some of my favorite shows we've had. You get like pull back the curtains a little bit. So today we have on Colleen Wilson. She's the co-founder, president, CEO of Meridian Development. Started out as a lawyer, but she was also on TV for like 25 years.
And it comes through on the podcast. She should be hosting this show.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah, she was great. So we did have a previous podcast with the Meridian group. They're developing on Knox Mountain. So Eminence, if you haven't listened to that podcast, go back and re-listen to that one. But you can go and check out their sales center. Phase 1 is, I think, mostly sold out now. There's still a couple of units left, she said. Phase 2 is open for sales. Yeah, really cool project right on Knox. So go check it out. It is a
cool project to check out, no doubt. It is built right on Knox, close to town. Beautiful building. More coming. The amenities aren't even there yet, and they're going to be nice too. So
yeah, like something she said was they were building like pathways in collaboration with the city into Knox as well.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, more walking trails if you're a dog person, pet friendly.
Or a hike person.
Yeah, or a bike. Anything Knox. This is where you want to be.
Yeah, that's funny. When I was in my road bike phase, I rode my road bike up to top of Knox, right to the top, and then kind of cruised through Magic Estates at the top, and then came down Clifton, right past Eminence. And like I had a speedo on my bike, and I hit 90 an hour coming down.
Really?
Yeah, that's the fastest I've ever been, and it was terrifying.
Yeah, that's funny. When were you in a road bike phase? I didn't know this.
I still am a bit, but not as much. A few years ago, I got a bike and ripped on it, but yeah. So I was all proud of myself for going up Knox, which is a feat in its own. And then you get to the top, and then you just rip down Clifton, and holy shit, that was it was awesome. But, so every time I drive up Clifton or go see Eminence, I always think about that.
I mean, I've been biking a lot too, mostly hauling the kids to daycare and back in the trailer.
Oh, what? That sounds awesome.
It is. Yeah. It's a quick like 5K there, 5K back. But everyone enjoy the show and enjoy summer. Get out and support some businesses.
Absolutely. And this episode, like every episode, sponsored by Century 21 Assurance Realty, best brokerage in town. We're a real estate office, residential. We do commercial real estate. We have property management. Basically, if it's real estate related, we do it. Reach out. If you are a person looking to buy or sell, commercial, lease, call it for the agent. Or if you're an agent looking to make a switch, for the brokerage for you. Yeah, it's a great place. I love being there. It's my spot. I love telling people about it. Enjoy the show.
Okay, Colleen Wilson, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure to be here.
So how we like to just start our show, connecting you with our listener, is just what's your perfect Friday look like? What do you do?
Well, the old thank goodness it's Friday. I think we all feel that to some degree. I like to go into Friday thinking I'm going to wrap up a lot of loose ends from the week. Sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't. But in a perfect Friday, that's what would happen. A lot of things I knew from the beginning of the week that needed to get dealt with would feel like they were reasonably well dealt with. Not that I wouldn't be working on the weekend, but I can work with a clearer conscience, a clearer mind that those things have been dealt with. So that's feels like a good Friday to me. I still, like I said, work Saturday and Sunday, but I like to know that I cleared off my plate what I intended to get cleared off by Friday.
Nice. And where are you geographically located?
I'm born and raised in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. I'm a Western Canadian prairie girl. I've been fortunate to travel a lot, and I have a home in the US as well. But that is my home. That will always be my home. And we keep our head office there. But my husband and I, our company has operations in the United States. We have American companies. We pay our American taxes and everything down there. And the extra tax we sometimes have to pay in Canada. That's a whole other conversation. But no, so we do business a lot of places, but we're really ingrained in our community there, and I love Saskatoon, and so that's still home to me.
Yeah. Well, obviously you love Kelowna as well, because
I love Kelowna.
You're here today in the studio, and we're talking about Eminence.
Well, I have a bit of a history here because I have my dad's family. A lot of them are in BC, and I have cousins here in Kelowna. So I started coming to Kelowna when I was a little girl, and I have wonderful memories of coming here. So the thought of developing here is great. My husband and I have done some commercial development here as well. So I love Kelowna, and everybody in my company, when they get a chance to come to Kelowna, it's like, I think I need to go to Kelowna, Colleen. Yeah, I need to come on this trip. So we all love it here.
Yeah. So is that why you chose Kelowna as a place to develop?
My late business partner loved Kelowna. I think it was one of his dream locations. He liked that in Beverly Hills. And
what doesn't it look like?
Yeah. and I mean, it is a beautiful place to come, and it's part of Canada, which makes it easy.
Yeah.
And we kind of have a motto, and this goes back to my husband and I. We don't really want to engage in any work in places that we don't enjoy going.
Yeah.
So it's probably no coincidence that the places where we develop property, whether it's here in the United States, are places that we like because we assume other people will like them too. And so that was part of the impetus for coming to Kelowna. And we thought there was a lot of potential here as well.
Yeah. And we will highlight, we did record an episode with Carl, your late business partner. Awesome episode. We just loved speaking with him so much. Like, the energy he had was amazing.
And the way he talked about Eminence too was...
Yeah, he was very passionate about it.
I find that's what's so important about pre-sales, is to learn the developer, which is really hard to do when these big projects go up. So I feel that's why the podcasts are so nice. But yeah, you're obviously carrying on the project, and do you just want to kind of highlight?
Sure. Well, I think something that we always believed in was, before we did a project, we always wanted to put our head in the space of the person that we thought would be our target market, to see if we were them, what we would want. We did it when we built student residences at the university. We did it with every condo project, and even our recent apartment projects that we've done. We give people resort style living because we think if we were in an apartment, that's what we'd want. So we always do that. So we try to imagine who our end buyer will be, who's going to be living there, and what they want. So we become very inspired by who we're building for, and also where we're building. And everything we build, we try to make it fit with that part of the community. So with Eminence, we're on the side of Knox Mountain Regional Park, beautiful area. We think is a super special location. It was not an easy project to get approved and developed because of how special the location is, because you've got that feeling that you're in, the Pacific Northwest, which, being from Saskatchewan, we want to feel that when we're here, right? The feeling of the mountains and the trails and that lifestyle. But we want to be close to the vibrancy of downtown, and we're like a 6-minute drive from Eminence to downtown. So we get the best of both worlds. So we also wanted to be cognizant, though, of something that would blend with the architecture of the mountains and would look good there, rather than maybe just something that was a box.
Yeah. Like, when I envision Knox, I'm thinking hiking trails, dogs.
You've got it. We're always pet friendly. Yeah. So every building has a beautiful view terrace on the top of the building that all of the residents of that building can use and enjoy. Part of phase 3, there will be a clubhouse built with a pool, a fitness center, some kind of facilities for outdoor dining and indoor self-serve bar area, beautiful pool and spa. So it's going to have that resort feel. And we've developed that concept. Initially, we tread into that with our apartment buildings where we have resort style living, and people really like it. We're, of course, taking it up a notch with condominiums where there's pride of ownership. So that comes with phase 3. So we're just completing phase 1 now, but even each building has this beautiful terrace, and the views from that terrace are breathtaking. So I can already picture it. I can hardly wait to get a unit there so I don't have to stay in the hotel. I'll have a home at Eminence when I come out, and sitting up on the terrace with friends and neighbors and enjoying a glass of Okanagan wine.
Yeah.
I'm going to try some of those wines or a cup of coffee. You know, I'm a chai tea latte drinker up on the terrace because the views are spectacular. And when Carl and I first walked on that property, we went, wow, like, you know, we were kind of trying to envision climbing up, and I had high heels on, up the side of the mountain a little bit to see what it would be like. We were like, we're going to have views from here out over the valley and to the mountains around. And from the back, you know, literally the mountain is in your backyard. So the hiking trails are there. You mentioned about dogs, Taylor. We're all animal people at Meridian and at Eminence. So it's all pet friendly. And what a great way to, you know, kind of enjoy some time with your dog going up the trails.
Yeah. Eminence is built like right into the side of Knox Mountain.
It is. When you're on the back, like the mountain is there, you will see wildlife come by. We've seen some deer, and you are living in the Pacific Northwest right there.
Yeah.
And at the top of that mountain is Lake Kathleen, and it's a lovely hike, you know, up the mountain. And as part of our commitment to the community, we're building some hiking trails, one with each phase, to augment the trail system that's already there. So it's great for the whole community.
Yeah, very cool.
But for people who like mountain biking and that, you can keep your bike there, just ride up the trail. So you look out the back, you've got the Pacific Northwest. You look to the front, you've got the Okanagan Valley and a 6-minute drive to downtown. So,
and the 6-minute drive to downtown, it's a nice and easy drive.
It's a really easy drive. Kelowna is, you know, a great place to go. I enjoy going down to the marina. And, you know, I've heard it described, this isn't me saying it, I've heard people say Kelowna is the Lake Como of Canada. And it is. I mean, we don't have European architecture here, but it has that charm and that feel that Lake Como, Italy has. Definitely has that. And I think it makes it super unique. I mean, the lake, all the water activities in the summer, and then in the winter, you've got all these world-class ski resorts and year-round wineries. Fabulous wineries here.
When is occupancy for phase 1? It's pretty soon.
It's happening over the summer. People will be taking up residency in their unit summit, we call it, as phase 1 of Eminence this summer. So we'll start moving people in July, and then gradually, not everybody's going to move in the same day in July. We'll have that in an orderly way, but they will move in over the course of the summer. Yeah, I've moved people into apartments, too many at one time. I know we don't do that. We just want orderly everyone to get in and get settled in.
I imagine as a developer, this has to be like, I mean, outside acquiring the land and kind of getting the vision for it, this has to be the most exciting part, like seeing it come together.
It is. And, you know, it's so rewarding even years later when you find a great fit for people, because I was just in the store recently in Saskatoon. A lady came up to me, introduced herself, and she said, "You won't remember me." I thought, oh, you know, because I told you I worked a long time in TV, and I thought, did I meet her somewhere along the line in TV? She said, "No, I was one of your buyers in the first condo project that you and your partner did in Saskatoon years ago." And she said, "I just wanted to tell you how I just love living there." And she sold her unit at one point. Somebody talked her into buying something else. So unhappy, she got rid of that and bought back into this place she'd originally been. And she said, "You know, I just wanted to tell you, it changed my life. It was wonderful." Another girlfriend of mine bought into our luxury condo in Saskatoon. She said, moving there actually changed her life. And so that's what we want. We want to enhance people's lifestyle. We don't just build buildings. We create the envelope for you to have a terrific lifestyle. We're a lifestyle company, really.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. We build your lifestyle for you.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I guess at this point, like, if people are interested, are you going to have a showroom up there now?
We do. We have our presentation centers open, and we have a model in addition to the presentation center. So people can go in, get a look at the finishes. People are telling us they really love the way our show home is looking, and they're free to go up. We're open 5 days a week. We have people up there. I can't go through the hours right now, but go to our website, eminenceliving.ca, and you will see that. And we've got Josh and Chris and Karina up there, and they'd be happy to welcome people and give them a tour. If you're a little interested or a lot interested, we're happy to see you and just show you what we're doing.
And so availability in phase 2 and phase 3, I guess, when are those going to be coming to?
So I still have a few select units available in phase 1 that are beautiful units. We are selling now in phase 2, not in phase 3 yet. The market, you know, has shifted just recently. We've got a lot of sales activity going on, a lot of people coming to us, both on phase 1, but also on phase 2. So for people who are looking for something right away, phase 1, for people who are thinking, you know, a move down the road a little bit. And this is the reality. This is not a developer speaking. This is just the truth. Construction costs are going up. That was even before tariffs. They're just going up. It's a reality. We've got our phase 2 price now. We've been holding the prices. The reality is I can't really justify building it for what I'm selling it for now. So at some point, those prices are going to go up. So now is the time to get in. When you buy in pre-sales, it's always when you get the best deal, because the developer knows you've got to hang in there till it gets built. And so you're getting the advantage not only of pricing, but you also get the advantage that you can semi-customize at Eminence at that time. Once the units are built and done, you can walk in and see it, but it is what it is. People can now go in, pick out their color scheme. We've also got a few options they can select from an options list for a few sort of different features in phase 2. So they have the ability to really put their own stamp on it still at this point. So great time to buy. And like what happens is the developer's margin shrinks, even if you put the prices up a bit, because our construction costs are going up more. Mm-hmm. So great time for people to buy in phase 2 now. We can feel people getting more excited again.
Have you had like first-time homebuyers reach out since the GST rebate? Or
we've had some questions asked about it. A lot of people seem a little confused as to how it works. Yes. Our sales team can certainly walk people through that. I think some people were hoping it applied to every new home, but it's for first-time home buyers.
Yes, we've talked about that on the
podcast too. I think people would have loved it if it had been, more broadly extended. I think developers would have loved it, especially because we love BC, but the environment for building condominiums in BC is not conducive to encouraging developers to build here. It's the cranes, like we talked about, that you see in the air around Kelowna, they're for apartments.
I think we're going to feel this because, like, Eminence is being built. There's a couple other condo buildings that are in construction, nearing completion, but there's like no new ones coming.
That's right. People, they've been kind of sitting and waiting, and some people want a single family home. Some people want a rental apartment for their main home. But there's a whole broad range of people that love condominium living. It's lock and leave. So young professionals like it. People that are empty nesters like it. Some of them go to Arizona, California, Florida, Texas for the few months in the winter.
Yep.
They like it. The odd time see a family. We'll take a condo and a stacked unit. It's not done as much here, but in big cities, you see that all the time. Not just townhouse families being attracted to townhomes. They also buy in developments that are like more the apartment style, like stacked units. So there's a lot of people that really want condos. And right now that product, developers are not interested in building it. And I'm not sure if your provincial government is aware. It would be great if they would maybe engage with some developers, find out why they're not being built. They say they want more housing built. Then you've got to make sure you're covering all the bases, not just single family homes and not just apartments. There's going to be a lot of apartments here in Kelowna, but not everybody wants to live in an apartment.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you want to touch on this a little bit. Like, as a developer and the few that we've spoken to, it seems like BC is really putting handcuffs on you guys. Like, financially, is it really worth it? It seems almost more of a passion project to be like, hey, we love to be in Kelowna and build something, but like, does it make sense anymore to build here?
It doesn't. It's going to create a void in the market where there is no product like that. I'm still going to be there because I'm, trying to forge ahead here. But I really wish the government would take a serious look at how developers rely on lenders, how that works when you have to tie that into how REDMA, the Real Estate Marketing Development Act, works, and how you have to have all your pre-sales done within a year, or there's an opportunity for your buyers that are now supposedly committed buyers to rescind their contracts. It creates a whole feeling of uncertainty. It's not realistic to think that's going to happen in a year. And well, it's great to offer buyer protections. I don't know that in the end, that's helping buyers have certainty either, because a developer may just decide, you know what, this isn't making sense, I'm not going to do it. Yeah. And that's what a lot of developers have done, and they've put other projects, condo projects on hold. Some of them have abandoned them altogether. But like I said, we're there, and we're committed to seeing this done. And so I think at a certain point, people are going to go, oh my goodness, we want a condo. And there's not a lot of selection. But I think the government really needs to jump on that and have a look. And sometimes when people are working in government, they're busy. There's maybe a bit of a disconnect between them and what's really going on. I think it would be really worthwhile for your premier, his key ministers, to sit down and talk to developers who are investing time and money and want to be a part of the British Columbia communities. And for us here in Kelowna, they're not making it conducive to us. We recently had the First Ministers Conference was held in Saskatoon, and I was really hoping that your premier would be there, because I was invited to some events where some of those people were there. There were connections. I was hoping to be able to have a few minutes to speak to him. And because again, sometimes you need to enlighten them. You need to make them understand from your point of view. This is not about being a greedy developer who wants all these things. It's the reality of the way it is. The environment here is not great for people who want to develop condos.
Yeah. Can you maybe walk us through the pre-sale process then? So you guys, obviously you come up with your design, you acquire the land, you propose it to the city, and then you have to release it in phases. And so you have to meet a certain threshold of pre-sale within that 1 year for phase one, and then the same for phase two.
That's right. Or people get an opportunity to walk on the deal. But lenders are not prepared to say, well, you don't have enough pre-sales, but we'll waive it and we'll say that you have your financing confirmed, because you need to have your financing confirmed. And as with all lenders, they're looking for a certain pre-sale commitment. Mm-hmm. And you think you've got a certain number, and then all of a sudden, if you fall short by a few, that date comes up and now it creates all this uncertainty. And by the time a developer gets to that point, the amount of money you've got committed in land value, the cost of getting it to development stage, getting all your architectural drawings done, and then taking out the building permit, which triggers the development cost charges, the DCCs, it's like a tax. Very expensive here in Kelowna. More expensive than I think any place, including places in the US, that we've encountered. So there's that huge charge. On top of it all, so you've got all of that money in, and maybe even quite a few buyers that want to buy, but you're left in this limbo of uncertainty because of the way the government regulations interact with what lenders require to make it possible to build these.
Yeah. What would be easier solutions for that? Would it be like extending that year rescission period from a year to 2 years, or
that would help?
Like
be a big help.
Delaying DCC fees until like project completion?
That would be a help, but certainly they've got to look at having a reasonable length of time for pre-sales. I guess they're trying to protect the buyer, but if you're creating a situation of uncertainty where they thought they were going to have a unit, and then other people, maybe their circumstances have changed, and now the developer goes, well, maybe it doesn't make sense to go ahead with it, you're really causing problems for some buyers. So I think, people need to look at their future and decide, should I buy there? And then the developer has to have a realistic amount of time to get those pre-sales. Other jurisdictions do not have that.
Like they've got provincially in Canada.
Provincially, I have not encountered it in the US either. We built condos in Washington, California. I've looked at building condos in Florida. We built them in Arizona. Nowhere have we encountered those kind of restrictive provisions. Perhaps all well-intentioned for buyers, but when it gets to the point where developers don't want to build that product anymore, because that's one of many things that are plaguing the market. You've got flipping tax now, as they like to call it, which I should point out, there's the 2-year hold period. So people who are interested in being an investor, they should buy pre-sales, because by the time you take possession, those 2 years will have passed. Yep. But still, it just sounds bad. And for people that are buying units that are ready right now, they know they have to hold them for 2 years. People that are investing don't want restrictions on them, even if they thought, well, I probably want to hold it that long anyway. They don't like the idea that they're being told they can't. The other thing that's problematic is the vacancy tax. I have people where I live in Saskatchewan that have said, Colleen, we buy a condo from you sight unseen. They know we have a very well-known reputation in Saskatchewan as quality builders. They go, we'd buy it from you sight unseen. We love Kelowna. We love going there, but we don't want to rent our unit. We want to go out. When we want to go out, we don't want to have to keep track like we're living in some communist regime, like how often we're there. We want to come and go to our vacation home, and we don't want the vacancy tax. Another deterrent. Then there's the federal foreign buyers ban. If California, Arizona, Florida, Texas, they all took that attitude, I don't know what would happen to their economies. I mean, the snowbirds wouldn't be able to buy any homes down there. There are American buyers that have said, like, look how far our dollar would go in Canada. We'd love to come buy a condominium too. Canada sounds exotic to a lot of Americans. We have friends in Washington. They'd love to have a place up here. They ski. They can't buy. They're prohibited from buying. One more layer. So you start loading all these layers on, and it's like, why?
I feel like these layers come on when the market's hot, and we were in it was hot for a long time, but then when the market cools, it's just like a massive weight to try and get the industry out of this.
I know. And yet I'm sure that the Premier wants the best for the province, but I think they need to engage with developers to really hear their side of the story and understand that they're making it so it's not conducive to build condos in British Columbia. There's still people trying to do it, but it's tougher in some areas than others. Kelowna is not a huge market. So it's not like, we'll build it and they will come. You've got to be a little more strategic as a developer. And when you're encountering all those hurdles, most of which were not in place when we started building Eminence.
When we started this podcast, almost every week, there's a new law for us to.
I know. I'll tell you, even some of the realtors, I don't think clearly understand the way some of the laws work, like who is actually a foreign buyer. And then they have language in the forms that is difficult. Like you have to declare that you're not non-Canadian. Like it's kind of a double negative. But you have to think about it for a minute and decide. And I think that it's confusing to people. And I'm a believer very much in a more open market. I'm a free enterprise type person. I think people should make their own decisions about such things.
Honestly, so right now we're in a bit of a spat with the U.S. and there's a major chance.
A bit of a spat.
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard, but I've been thinking about this a lot, obviously, as everyone else. But there's an opportunity for a major brain drain from the U.S. to Canada, and we just have this stupid foreign buyers ban that says, "Come here, but you have to rent in one of our billion buildings."
You can't buy a home. You can't buy a vacation home here. It's crazy. And I mean, this spat, trade war, whatever they want to call it. We live in the longest undefended border in the world, next to the United States. We are going to be trading partners regardless. We will get it worked out. I have great confidence that will happen. And Canadian and American people love each other. Like it's not, so we kind of end up being the pawns in the game as this stuff is going on, and the Americans are trying to protect their turf and we're trying to protect our turf. But in the end, we all know the reality is we have to work it out. I think it's great if Canada expands, to other markets and finds other markets. That's always a healthy thing to do in any business. But we are going to end up trading with the U.S. That's all there is to it. We live too close to one another, and we're so similar in so many ways. So we will get it worked out. But why would we want to put prohibitions up? I hear people say, "Oh, we don't feel welcome in the U.S. anymore." Not true. I feel completely welcome in the U.S., and I'm happy for any of our U.S. friends to come to Canada at any time. So there's just, again, there's narratives created about it that serve certain purposes, and that's just not reality.
Yeah, we were in Mexico over the winter and actually had Americans apologizing for tariffs. Like, "Oh, we're so sorry this is happening. It's not your fault." I don't want to support the government. I'm definitely not known to be applauding their efforts, but I do think some of these policies have good intentions.
They have good intentions.
And media wise, they're great for the media. But if everyone just had their head in the sand and was not hearing about these policies, the market would be fine. It would be.
I know, but they scare people.
That's all they do.
I know.
We've spoken to Brendan Ogmanson, chief economist, and I was just at a presentation of his last week. He's the most charismatic economist ever. He's so awesome. But his data on all of this, speculation, vacancy, foreign buyers, it does not move the needle at all. It is zero impact other than this massive impact of our mindset of, oh no, what's going to happen now? So.
I know, but we've seen the media do that before. And I say it with fondness because I've worked in media for many years. They have a lot of power and they have to be careful how they use it. And sometimes things are not represented exactly as they should be. Even the whole narrative about it being a trade war, I think that was not an appropriate narrative. The American government did what they thought was right for the United States. Maybe they were just sending a wake-up call. If I were in charge, I would have reacted in a completely different way than they did. That's me. I think I would have been more successful reacting in a different way. It will work itself out. There's no point in making bad friends over it. Actually, as a developer, the thing that hurt us the most was when our country put retaliatory tariffs on. That's when people really started to feel it. We were finishing a hotel in BC, and we were doing business with some American suppliers. It cost us, I don't even want to tell you how much more, because of the tariffs our government applied for us bringing in American product.
Yeah, kind of on that note, this is something that is always interesting to me, but let's say somewhere in the prairies compared to somewhere in BC, cost per square foot or what for the finished product. Why is it, I don't want to say more affordable, but just more cost effective elsewhere? BC seems so expensive to do cost of business. Is it land acquisition or labor or what is it?
Your land is more expensive here. Your DCCs for a developer, I mean, people in retail businesses have a different set of rules, but for developers, those DCCs are brutal. Timelines are pretty slow here. It's not easy as easy to develop in BC as it is in a lot of other jurisdictions.
What about codes?
Codes?
Yeah.
Well, the codes are getting, I think, more restrictive all the time. Even in Saskatoon, our city council has seen fit to take us to tier 2 for sustainability for new homes. Other cities are not doing that. I don't think they understand. It's just shifting more costs to homeowners. You've got to be careful when you're trying to do all these sustainability things. Everybody's all in favor of it until it affects them. Yeah. So in the end, if you have to tell buyers that this is going to cost you more, that's just one more deterrent, right? And then they kind of blame the developer for it. Why is this costing that much? Because there's code issues or environmental compliance or sustainability compliance issues that are costing us more to build it.
Like on Taylor's point, you see a house like in Texas. I honestly don't know.
You're reading my mind.
I don't know about Saskatchewan, but so but Texas, you see like this mansion. Like forget how much acres it's on, but it's like a 6-bedroom, just a massive beautiful house, and it's like $600,000.
I know. I saw that a lot in North Carolina. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I went there and I looked in their home magazine, and these beautiful homes for sale for like a fraction of what we pay in Canada.
Why?
Part of it is labor. Part of it, I think the labor is less down there. The taxes are not as bad in a lot of places in the U.S. California's another tough one to build in. California and BC have a lot in common. Majority of people get their way, but the reality is when you look on the map, they represent just a very slender sector of that province or state, but they're the vocal ones that seem to get their way, and they're the ones that have all the votes in their regions. But they both created environments that are very difficult to do business in. Both California and British Columbia have a lot in common in that they are so beautiful. They should have everything going for them in the world, and they don't because of laws messing things up.
Regulation.
Yeah.
It's funny, like I do have some clients that bring up the same point we're talking about. It's like, well, why would the market not equal out? Like, why should BC not come down in home price? And I think it's kind of a compounding issue, right? Because if it is cost of labor, that cost of labor, they have to live here. And it's expensive to live here. It's expensive to buy that home that they're building. Mm-hmm. So like we have to pay them to be able to afford to live here. So I don't see it ever coming down, like the costs to build.
Right. No, I don't think so.
It's also like, you're comparing California and Kelowna and these beautiful, and Lake Como, like, they're expensive places because they're just beautiful to live.
They are, but if I'm running the province, I'm going to want to encourage, development in the province. And I think, there's some people here too that are maybe not so interested in having it developed, but it will get developed. I mean, it's progress. It's what happens, right? And you do want to develop in a responsible and sustainable way, but again, there's a balance. So when code and regulatory requirements start imposing a ton of costs, it ends up shifting to the buyer in the end and puts housing out of reach. So the dream of owning a home becomes more difficult, for people.
But it's well insulated.
Yeah, it's well insulated. That's right. It's well insulated.
Cold.
Yeah. Cold. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree totally. And when we're talking about affordability is like the name of the game, seems the last few years. And then you just look at the code, it's just adding more and more and more.
I know. It's like they're talking out of both sides.
I know.
Do they realize they're doing that? Or maybe we just need to sit down and have a face-to-face conversation with stakeholders and government people making the rules so that they understand how, in the end, it's affecting the buyer and not allowing them to buy. And it's going to get worse. That's why I say now is a great time to actually buy before everybody realizes this shift is going to happen. People are going to go, okay, we feel things are starting to stabilize. We're starting to buy. We can feel it shifting now. But when that happens, there's not a lot of condos out there. That will drive the prices of what's available out, supply and demand, right?
It is a supply and demand.
Yeah, that's right.
And right now, like there is some saturation. There are some good deals to buy, but if no one's starting any new projects, 3 years from now, there's not going to be a lot of
So if I were an investor, I'd be going, I'm going to go into a condo project that's being sold now at prices now that's going to be ready in a couple of years. I don't have to close for, 2.5 years. I'm going to buy it now, lock in that price. And in 2.5 years, there's not going to be a lot of other stuff. Because we know what's going on in the market. Supply and demand is going to be worth more money.
So to build on that a bit, like I totally agree. So you have the prices, like Taylor just said, the price to build is not going to go down. Like the labor's not going down, the materials are not going down. Land prices might come down, but they're not going to come down a lot. Maybe like a correction of 10% or something, which is not going to change the price per unit. So the only way these condos are going to get built in the future is when the market appreciates to the point where it can make sense for the developer again.
That's right.
So you're basically buying on the low end of where it's going to go.
That's right. So I think if an investor came in and say bought 5 units in a condo building now, pre-sales, knows that he's not going to have to come up with that money for 2.5 years. Then those 2 years for the flipping tax are gone. He's probably got, or he or she probably has a great deal where then they can sell it and make some money right away, because there's just not going to be any product around and people are still going to want condos and the pricing will have gone up. So if a developer starts to build one, then price is going to be that much higher.
It's interesting too for Eminence, because all the other condo buildings in town seem to be completing in the next 2 to 6 months, right? So like you're probably one of the few that are on the docket for the next 2 or 3 years.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful project. We hope everyone comes to see it.
It is beautiful.
It really is. And we take a lot of pride in what we build, and we take pride in meeting our buyers. We've had a couple of buyer appreciation nights where we've met our phase 1 and some of our phase 2 buyers already. And it's great. Like, we like to know those people because, like I said, they are actually the inspiration for what we want to build. The land, the community, and knowing who they are and what we can build for them.
And you're going to be having a condo in there too, so you're going to.
I am, so I'm going to be there. They're going to know where I am.
If there's any deficiencies, then you're not going to
yeah.
the right tenant.
And, and I stay at our friend's hotel when we're here. It's a great hotel. We built it for him. And we stay there, but it'll be nice to get moved in there and to be more a part of the community and have a chance to kind of live the life that we've imagined for our buyers. Like, I love coming out here and, being able to hike up the trails. My cats, I don't know if they're going to cooperate as well, but I'm always up for a dog. I would say to my husband, your son, Bo, wants a dog. That's one of our cats. He loves dogs. So I'm like, I need to get a little dog, and big dog, little dog, any dog at all will do, and spend some time on the trails, either that or teach Finn and Bo to lead better.
What a cool situation with being a developer in a hotel is you get to stay in all these places that you built over the years.
Oh, yeah.
That's like,
it was
cool.
Crazy. The other night I stayed, last weekend I was out in Chilliwack for our new hotel. I was the first person to sleep in the hotel. My husband was in the room already sawing a log. I was the first person to sleep in the hotel, and I got up at 2:30 in the morning and just walked around the halls, and I took a little video and I put it on social media. And I said, this is the weirdest feeling ever. We're the only people in the hotel. He's sound asleep. I'm roaming the hallways at 2 o'clock. It didn't feel at all like The Shining. Just so you know, it felt really good. But I actually locked the gate on the construction site that night myself and locked the front door of the hotel. Very strange.
That is
and it is neat. I know when we opened our hotel in Vancouver, to be sleeping in there the first night we got occupancy, and our internal staff were in there that night. But it's a neat feeling.
So what hotel did you build in Kelowna?
In Kelowna, we built the Holiday Inn Express. We don't own it. Our partners, PR Hotels, that we're partners with in other hotels, they convinced us to build that hotel for them. So we stay there, and I have a little favorite restaurant in there. In Far, I'll give them a little plug there. It's great food.
Cool.
Just to kind of close this out before we get into our wrap-up questions, for phase 2 of Eminence, where are you guys at in the pre-sales? Like, have you met your threshold?
No, we haven't met it yet, but we're working on it. We've got actually 5 sales right now in progress. Like I said, things are starting to pick up. So we're hoping that we will, meet that threshold and get there. We're committed. We want to get this done.
I would imagine, like, as a developer, you basically not sell at a discount, but sell aggressively to meet that threshold. And then after that's done,
you're exactly right.
Increase the price.
So all the more reason this is the time to buy it. You don't have to come up with the money for quite a while, because it's a ways down the road till it's going to be done. And by then you won't have a flipping tax issue. You'll have owned it not owned it, but you'll have been under contract for more than 2 years.
So what percentage do you have to meet?
It depends on the lender. Typically you can expect 50% is pretty typical. Some of the lenders are a little more lenient. It just depends. Depends how much equity you're going to put in as well as a builder. But remember how much you've already got in by the time you buy the land, pay for your architectural drawings, building permit. Everything's got to be done for that process, and pay your DCCs. You're in deep. So that's why it's kind of hard to turn the ship around after. That's why we're in it and we're going forward. But I very much believe in the project. The more I come out and I see it looking so good where it is, and our buyers coming over and really enthused at what they see, the reaction we're getting from people who are interested in buying now, despite all this background noise of what's going on in the economy and everything, I think we will come to agreements with our partners to the south of the border, our trade partners, and it'll be good. And in the interim, if we expand our market more, explore Canada a little bit more, that's all a good thing too. So it's all going to be okay. But it's created this great opportunity to buy. So I've got some great units still left in phase 1. that people can move into right away, and some wonderful units in phase 2. And, there's, even in terms of condos, if people are looking for the cheapest thing on the market, that won't be us, but we're not giving you the cheapest finishes either. I think we're the best value in the market. There's multi-million-dollar condos you can buy, but not everybody wants to spend that kind of money on a home. So I think we fit a demographic of a lot of people. Like I said, young professionals. We have some single people that have bought in there, younger single people, older single people. It's a very mixed group of people, but they're all people that I think have discerning taste. They're not out looking for the cheapest thing, but they're looking for value, and that's what we want to deliver, is really good value. I've never built the cheapest thing, but I've always wanted to know that they're getting more than they expected. And that's been the reaction we've gotten from people that have seen that when we opened our sales unit. We were over on St. Paul Street for a while. Then we opened our sales center and model on site. And that's the reaction we have from people. And that's what I want them to feel, that we've taken the time and the care, and I put some of the best people out there. I've got a terrific crew making sure that all the details are taken care of.
Well, we can't wait to come out and check it out
I hope
as well.
you guys can come out and see it. And
I've been there a few times, but not lately.
bring your clients.
Yes.
And you get the mortgages in place for them. And
We'll dive into our wrap-up questions if that's okay with you. I mean, this one seems obvious, but maybe it's not. If you could buy one property in the Okanagan in the next 12 months, what would it be?
Would it include mine?
Yeah.
I would, I would love to and will have a condominium in our project. And even at the end, when all is said and done and it's built, I'd love to have it out here. I love coming out to Kelowna. But if I took that off of the table, maybe I'd want a winery.
Nice.
But you know what they say about wineries? What do you call a billionaire after they buy a winery?
A millionaire.
A millionaire. Well, I'm no billionaire, so I can't risk that kind of a downgrade. But I think it would be a wonderful idea to have a winery. I have family that got in the wine business here many years ago, and I'd like to be able to spend more time out here to explore some of that myself, because I know that it's so great. I just love going down around the waterfront by King Taps and Cactus Club and some of those restaurants there. It's beautiful. And we found some other great places to eat. And the wineries have wonderful food.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got some nice microbreweries here as well.
Yeah, that's how I convinced my wife, Emily. Like, we were relocating back from overseas to Kelowna, and I was like, we could live on a vineyard if we moved to Kelowna. I got to plant a couple grapes in the backyard.
Oh, that's funny.
All right, Colleen, if you could give your 20-year-old self any advice, what would it be?
Expect the unexpected. I've been through it in spades. You hear people say that, but it is the reality. Always hope for the best, but always have a bit of a rainy day backup plan, because things can happen that you're not expecting. And always be in a business that you're passionate about, because even when you're passionate about it, some days will feel like work, but at least you're working in an area that you really like. So for anybody out there, whatever it is they're passionate about, that's what they need to pursue. And then they need to figure out how to make their passion into their business. BMO has asked me to speak at their Celebrating Women event for women in business. And I said, well, what do you want me to talk about? Just talk about your career, they said, and what inspires you. And the truth is, I've taken all the things I enjoyed in life and turned it into business somehow. Like, I love design. I love building things. Even when I was a little girl, I loved looking at architecture. But I also loved animals, so all our buildings are pet friendly. And I've combined a lot of things that I like to do the things that I enjoy. I've had young people come to me and say, I want to be an entrepreneur. How do I do that? Well, the first thing is, what are you passionate about? You don't just become an entrepreneur to sell widgets. You got to want to sell those widgets. You have to have a passion. Like, we never sell a condo that I would not live in myself. I don't build an apartment to rent to somebody that I would not live in myself. I can't do that. It's just something I can't do. I don't build boxes. My partner and I didn't. My husband and I don't, because I wouldn't be inspired living in a box. So do something, whatever it is, whatever, inspires you, do that, pursue that as a business, follow your heart.
Yeah.
Because you've got to find a way to pay the bills. So you've got to find a way to make what you love into a business that can sustain you.
Good answer.
That is a good answer.
What's your favorite charity, or how do you give back?
Well, I probably alluded to it. I do a lot for animals. My girlfriend and I ran an event pre-COVID for 15 years called Pets in the Park. We raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for homeless animals. I like to do a lot of work with that. My husband and I contribute to medical matters where someone in our family has been touched by something that matters to me. And I enjoy the arts as well. So we've done things to support the arts. But I have to say, children and animals are probably my weakness.
Yeah.
My husband likes a lot of things related to kids' sport. There's no kid that ever calls him that needs some help with something that he says no to. I probably shouldn't say that publicly, but he does, you know. But we're people that kind of like to see more tangibly what our efforts have done, even with the animals. I love it when people come back and tell me stories of how something that we did or gave to them helped them with their animals. Even all my years, 25 years in television, while I was doing this at the same time, people still come up to me on the street and say, you know, Colleen, remember how you did your segment to adopt animals for the rescue organization? I adopted that dog from you years ago, or that cat, and that like changed my life. And it was like the best thing that happened to me. I love those stories.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
So Eminence is pet friendly, of course.
Yeah. No, that's great. All right. How can Taylor or I or our listener get back to you? How can we help you?
Well, we'd love for all of you two guys included, to come out to our sales center and see our show home at Eminence. Please come out. It doesn't mean you have to buy something. Just please come out and see it. Maybe you know someone who would like to buy there. We want to be part of your community. Go to our website, eminenceliving.ca. Our sales center is open 5 days a week. Spread the word. Come see us. If you see me on the street, stop me. People who knew me from TV often do. So just come up and introduce yourself. I'm always happy to talk to people. And watch social media. We're going to share some social media. You guys are way younger than me, so this social media thing is still something I need people to help me to understand. But I do know that it works.
Don't worry, we're not good at social media.
You have people who do that, right? You have Nikki and I have Nikki. Yeah. We have different Nikkis, but both Nikki. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. And,
well, it's been a pleasure. Yeah.
Enjoy your stay out here until
your
condo's finished.
We always look forward to our trips out to Kelowna, and they will be more frequent going forward. And and then I'll be out there with all of our buyers as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.